It's officially been 2 weeks of you going to bed at 2 a.m. and you tell yourself enough is enough. Today is the day that you go to bed by 10 p.m., wake up early, feel refreshed, and go crush the day tomorrow because you're gonna have a productive day. It's 10 p.m. now, and you're staring at the ceiling. The silence is loud, but it's not the loudest thing in the room. Your mind is overflowing with thoughts and emotions. All of your fears, your dreams, your insecurities, all of the things that you have to do tomorrow all start rushing in your mind at the same time. Exactly 1 minute goes by of you facing all of these thoughts head on, and you just can't take it anymore. You turn on the light, pick up the phone, open TikTok, and start scrolling. You scroll past a few highly edited memes that make you laugh. You scroll a few posts of some girls shaking ass, and everything becomes good again and you feel better. Minutes slowly turn into hours and it's already 1 a.m. and the cycle repeats. Why exactly do we do this? I faced this problem a lot more specifically when I was younger. And when I say younger, I mean more of middle school and high school. But back then, my sleep schedule was atrocious. Yes, I had school and I had to go to bed early to wake up early. But when the weekends came around, or it was break time, or it was the summer, especially summer, this is when my sleep schedule was at its worst. There was not a day that I would go to bed before 2 or 3 a.m. pretty much for the entire summer, and I would not wake up a minute before 11 a.m. At nighttime, I would scroll like there is no tomorrow. I would play video games pretty much all night long up until 2, 3, even 4 a.m. I would be scrolling while playing a game, or I would be scrolling while watching TV in the back. And that kind of brings me to the meat of this video. Why was I up late every single night up until 2, 3, 4, and sometimes even 5 a.m. when I wasn't actually even doing anything productive? Why didn't I just fall asleep a little bit earlier, even when I was younger, just so I could wake up earlier and have a bit of a longer, more productive day? The reason that you cannot fall asleep early and then in turn wake up early and then do this on a consistent basis, the real problem is actually two parts. The first part of this problem is due to anxiety. And the reason why anxiety spikes or it increases at night, especially when you're just laying in bed staring at the ceiling, is because you have fewer distractions. When you're in a dark room alone with your thoughts, your phone is away, there aren't distractions around you like all day, every single day during the day. When you're actually just sitting there, your thoughts and you are the only thing that exists in that moment. And have you noticed that when we're just sitting in our beds and we're just staring at a dark blank ceiling, have you noticed that these thoughts that we're constantly overthinking about are not productive or positive? They're usually negative. They're probably overwhelming. They make you feel bad about it. So what do you do when you feel bad, when you feel negative, when you feel overwhelmed? You distract it by picking up the phone, turning on Netflix, putting on some music in the background so you can kind of block out all of that noise that's coming from up here. And when you do that at night and you're exposed to blue light, that blue light is going to keep you up at night. It's going to cause you to take longer to fall asleep. But on top of that, the quality of your sleep is going to be so much worse that by the time when you wake up in the morning, you're not going to feel refreshed at all. And the issue with this is that at nighttime, you've never actually faced these demons head on. You've always pushed them aside by distracting yourself in some way. And over the years, they've compounded and are just sitting there, taking up literal real estate in the back of your subconscious brain. And the second part of this problem, remember how I mentioned that there are two parts? The second part of it actually influences the first, which is the anxiety part of it. But the real reason that you cannot fall asleep early or wake up early is simply because you lack purpose. You don't have a real reason to wake up in the morning. You don't have a reason to fall asleep early. There's nothing important enough in your life that will actually cause you to make real life changes. There's nothing in your life that is worthwhile to you. Let's break it down in another way. Let's say, for example, you're a professional athlete, hypothetically. If your dream is to be better than all of your competition or to be the best in your sport, what's the best way to do that? To probably train harder, to train more? How can you train more or train harder in a day? By simply elongating the day and having more hours to train. How do you have more hours to train? By waking up earlier. Kobe Bryant said this in his interview that by him waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning, he could squeeze in 2 to 3 extra sessions per day. Imagine you just train 2 to 3 hours a day extra than the rest of your competition. After a month, after 6 months, after a year, the separation between you and everyone else is going to be so much that it's not even going to be comparable. If in another example, you work a 9 to 5, but you have this burning desire, this passion to also want to educate, to entertain, to document on social media what's going on in your life, to share more with people so that you can also improve their lives. But again, you work a 9 to 5 and you don't really have the time to. The only way to do that is by waking up earlier, putting in those hours before your actual job. The only way, or the only reason that I'd be willing to even do that, is that I need to, one, have the passion or the desire to actually make that lifestyle change. If you don't have any real reason to get up earlier or to go to bed early, you're not going to do it. You need to start creating some sort of urgency or some reason to want to be able to do this. And that kind of brings me to the solution part of this video, which is how do we actually solve this two-faced problem? Remember that I said the first part of this problem is that you cannot face that anxiety. You have that apprehension, that alone time with your thoughts. You don't like that. You feel uncomfortable, so you resort to your devices. So how do we actually address this? Your mind is always going to have thoughts. That's kind of what the brain does. It thinks. It sometimes overthinks. It has thoughts that aren't to the best and aren't to the most productive, but at the same time, it also has great thoughts. It can help you, make you feel more positive, make you feel more productive, whatever it might be. Your brain's never going to stop thinking. So you need to at least have that mindset shift that, okay, this is a part of life and I actually just need to face these thoughts more often. And there's a huge benefit to actually facing these thoughts. The more that you push these thoughts away, the more you distract yourself. You just watch an episode, you're just flipping through, scrolling through. These problems aren't going away. I need you to realize that these problems are still going to exist. The issue is that the more that you realize that they exist and do nothing about it, the more that this problem grows. It's kind of like a leak in the roof. You can continue to put buckets there to collect the water, but over time is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until your entire either roof collapses or there's a flood from the leak. Your brain and your thoughts are the exact same way. You need to acknowledge them more often, become more comfortable with them, dissect them. Ask yourself, where are these thoughts coming from? Why am I having these thoughts? Are these thoughts actually true? Or am I just imagining them, fabricating them in my own mind? Think about them more. Create solutions for them if these problems are real, instead of just running away from them. Do that little bit of hard work right before sleeping. You'll be surprised that over time, these thoughts become much more manageable, even though it's scary right now. The reason that we have thoughts right before we sleep, or we even have dreams, is that a lot of the times it's based off of our real life. Seek areas that you can improve in your day life and actually find a way to improve your life and address these areas that your brain is thinking about so much at night. Now, for the second part of the problem, which is that you just simply lack meaning or purpose, no person on the internet is going to be able to tell you what this is. The only way to find out is becoming more introspective, looking within the mind, within the body, within the soul. The answers are within here, while everyone is looking to the external, looking to be led, looking to find out what's going on. That's why cult leaders exist, because they realize that people are always looking outwards rather than inwards, and they make use of that flaw that people have. What do you naturally gravitate towards? What does your mind usually always think about? What do you wish you were doing when you're doing the thing that you don't want to do? What are you naturally gifted at? What comes to you easiest with the least amount of work? The answers to these questions, if they all point to the same direction, that could be likely what your meaning and your purpose is. And there are 2 exercises that are really good at helping you become more introspective. And I've brought this up in other videos, which is just to meditate and to journal. But meditation and journaling both prioritize internalization and becoming more comfortable and aware of your own thoughts. After 2 to 3 weeks of just meditating and journaling consistently, I mean every single day, you will notice that these thoughts don't go away, but they become quieter. They slowly become more productive. You become a lot more peaceful, more positive. It starts working with you instead of against you. The only caveat is that you must be willing to give yourself the time and the patience to notice the difference.